Start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll offer thee. Kind Father in heaven, we thank you for thy care and keeping through the night and for this day. Lord, help us to use this day and every day of our lives to see that thy will be done, and help us to live our Rotary motto of service above self. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Whoa. Hey. No. How about that? Go ahead, Rotarians. Good morning.
I gotta say, in defense of him, that was his alarm to make sure he clanged the button on time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Donald is certainly in charge this morning. He's got it covered. Okay, a couple little items of business this morning. We'll move through fast because we have a guest that will do the program, and we need to be able to be out of here about 10 p.m. First of all, I'm concerned. I have to bring an issue to the club. It has bothered me for 3 weeks. Okay, but I have to do it.
Say it's not.
I have 2 Rotarians. I'm going to ask for a confession.
Yes, sir.
Dan Green and Ken. Good afternoon.
Whoa! Get your money out.
Money out, baby.
I need $1. Yeah, we'll cover it. All right. Here we go. All right. Now, Gavin, I'll get you money in a minute, but I'll need to collect it.
Of course you will.
All right. Now, confession. I asked the 2 Rotarians to confess. Ken, do you have anything to confess to the club? Anything that has happened?
Thank you, sir. Anything that's happened?
Well, you can be reasonable in this.
Nothing.
Okay, let me ask Dan Green. Dan, is there anything you want to confess?
I'm trying to figure out which one this is.
All right, I will refresh your memory. 3 weeks ago, we met at the magnet school.
Yes.
And we had some Rotarians that came here, didn't read the emails, and were all confused, but finally got over there. Now, does that ring a bell?
Yeah. It does.
Okay, you were one of them.
Yeah.
I believe, Dan, you were one of them. Okay, I need $1 for each one of you. Not paying attention.
Good. Well, I'm glad that's all.
All right, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get that. Okay, good deal. All right, now, a couple other items. We have a guest this morning, and he will do the program. And I need to find out how much you know about the guest. There's a couple of questions I will ask, and it's important that we know this. And Austin, our guest is from what club? This is important. You have to know where our guest is from.
Asheville.
All right, it's Asheville, but it's also a different club in Asheville. You have to have something else tied to this.
Asheville breakfast.
Breakfast, is that it? All right, Asheville breakfast.
Spot.
All right, Asheville breakfast. Now, can anyone, we'll eliminate Reinhardt back there, but anyone in here name our district governor's wife?
Joanne.
Joanne, there we go. Look
Whoa.
at that. Fantastic.
To the
All
mark.
right, good deal. Now, the next question, we're checking right now. The magazine, Rotarian magazine. Richard, you read this, do you not?
I read some of it, yes.
Yes, sir. All right. What is on the cover of this magazine?
Has to do with hats. I think wearing different kind of hats.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I've never seen that because I like hats.
Yes, sir. Very good. All right, here's the other part. There's a story in here that I thought was excellent. And Ron Leach is not here. So I think maybe you can, it ties in terms of your vocation, in a way.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
All
about.
right, it's like page 39 to 46.
It's like that. It's an Italian family or something that makes veils or something.
Absolutely.
Makes veils, actually.
Now, if you have not read
Fabricates
this,
veils.
yes, sir. If you have not read this, I encourage everyone to do it. It is a great article. It's the Rotary Foundation, the 26th generation of bell making. It's passed down through the family. And they did a special bell, which is for the Rotary Foundation. And if I remember on part of this, they rang the bell at the convention, did they not, the family?
It was a fantastic sound.
Yeah.
It really was.
So anyway, if you haven't read this article, please do so. Okay.
Just like the one I made.
Yes, just like the one you made. Yes, sir. Got it. All right. Now, Governor Bill.
Sir.
We've asked several questions in here, and I have to ask you. If you answer it correctly, I'll pay your fine. But if you don't, you pay $1 fine as everybody else has in the club when they have to be fined. The magazine, you're familiar with this?
I am.
All right, how many pages are in this magazine?
All of them.
That's correct. He's correct.
Incorrect.
That's okay.
All right, I need
I'll
$1,
happily give
sir.
$1.
All right. Now, for your information, 64, and that's a consistent page number for the Rotarian magazine. And there are some special editions, but normally all of them on page 64 pages. So that's the little trivia that you might want to use sometime when you're at the club. All right, anything for the good of Rotary?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go back here. Yep, because I know you're busy. I carried it for you.
Carry what?
Whose phone buzzed? I carried it for you.
He's supposed to catch it, not you.
I got it. I want to help you out.
You are
Okay.
no longer president. I did not
No, I'm
hear
still
it.
driving the bus though.
All right, thanks,
Yeah,
Michael.
I just want to make sure you.
Yes, it is nice to have an assistant. This job is tough. All right.
Hey, it ain't supposed to work that way.
That bus driver cool.
It works.
I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, welcome, District Governor Bill Biddle. I believe that it is very important that you have a lot of B's in your name and a lot of I's in your name, because we've had Billy Black, we've got Bill Biddle, the next guy is Isaac Olawati, all those I's and B's, okay? And so, seeing how that is, I see I don't qualify, let's change my name. I'm gonna let Bob, another B, introduce you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we do indeed have District Governor Biddle with us. And I wanted to tell you a couple things that I find remarkable about him. You guys know that I'm a perpetual student. And I struggle with a few words in Hebrew and Greek and a few phrases in Spanish and German. But he's fluent in English, fluent in German. And if I had a mountain I wanted to climb, the three biggest mountains in languages would be Chinese, Arabic, and Tagalog. If you want to look up Tagalog, Google Tagalog, okay? It's Tagalog. Our brother Bill Biddle is conversant in Tagalog. I've heard him conversing. At his installation, there were 20 to 30 Philippine representatives, 2 or 3 past governors, all kinds of, and he has reached the status where they call him brother, their brother. He started out, he's been in 8 years, he started out, if anybody remembers the old program, a GSE, he got to husband a non-governmental activity in a foreign country. His country was the Philippines. He was so overcome by what he saw and experienced that he became the other end of a project we've been interested in the past. We brag from time to time to ourselves that we contributed a significant amount of resources to the wheelchair project. Well, we were pitching and Bill was catching. He was there distributing those wheelchairs. And in fact, one of the stories of that goes that they tried to, the guru for the area at 7670 is Frank Dean, and he marshals the wheelchairs at that time, still does. And Bill says, we got to get another container load to the Philippines. We can't. He said, there's 5 ahead of you. And by one means or another, the Lord cleared that out, and that load of wheelchairs went to him in the Philippines and were greatly received. Dummy hasn't quit. He's still at it, okay? There is a committee now of himself, Frank Dean, and the guy who founded the wheelchair project. Problem is, wheelchairs don't fit one of the 6 focus areas of Rotary. They don't directly plug in anywhere, but a number of clubs have found a creative way to help sustain this, and there is another set of wheelchair shipments being prepared to go, and Bill is instrumental in helping to see that that happens. This is Governor Bill Biddle.
Thank you. Boy, what a privilege to be here. You know, every time I do this, I get more and more humble. I'm not accustomed to this, so bear with me if I act like I'm out of character. What I will share with you, tagging on the wheelchair topic, Friday, there's a meeting 15 minutes from the Charlotte Airport with David Baring, who is the founder of the Wheelchair Foundation. David is a philanthropist, and it was David Baring who started not only making it possible for the cost of the wheelchairs to be reduced by 50%, but David and his son Ken, who have the key positions in the Baring Foundation, donate out of their money $75 per chair, which nets the cost down to $75 a chair. And if it were not for them, heavens knows where the wheelchair distribution plan would have been. It is true, the Rotary Foundation, in its infinite wisdom, decided not to fund wheelchairs anymore because they said wheelchairs are not sustainable. I have something in my slide, and when I show it to you, I'll let you be the judge. As has been mentioned, I am from Asheville Breakfast. I have just had an anniversary date, so I'm now a Rotarian 9 years. I started in Rotary. My statement to my sponsor was I wanted to have a channel to pay back my community. I didn't even know how significant my words would have been because it rang true with a lot of Rotarians in my area. I live 27 miles from where my club meets because where my club meets was my sales territory, and I felt like, having been blessed and fortunate to earn a living in that area, I should join a Rotary there to pay them back. I think Rotary is an unbelievable organization. I'm an ordinary guy, but Rotary is extraordinary. I see things happening all the time. I read the Rotary magazine. I learn of different stories, and it's phenomenal what goes on. So I'm not going to belabor that any longer because I'm looking at the clock, and I know you've got time sensitivity, and I was wondering, am I hooked up okay here? No, I don't have a... Well, I'm not on, because that's not my screen's here. Oh, my walls. Yeah, then you take a look here, and go out of this. Back in. There we go.
We always seem to have a problem with the sound.
Oh, the sound's okay. I'm going to be the only sound you'll hear. But
It is.
that could be good or bad.
That is you now, right?
Screen down.
Let's get like
Well,
a
that
little
must
bit,
be
you know.
somebody hit the projector.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
The screen.
Okay.
That's me right there.
Yes.
Hot dog.
All right.
Now, somebody tilt the projector down a little bit, can it be?
It's quite
I know,
straight.
can you tilt?
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
we can't get it.
Oh, yeah.
We do it.
Screen, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. We mashed all the buttons.
You did?
Yeah.
We have.
If Glenn knows that, I
Multiple
could.
We don't figure out
And Reinhardt could.
this.
Remembering your pictures, I think the majority of it will show okay.
Okay.
Sorry, we'll be fine.
Okay. Ian Risley is our president this year. He is from Australia. He is a man of few words. I like this guy because he doesn't engage in giving you a verbose bombardment of trivia at any point. His theme is Rotary making a difference. Very succinct and to the point. He says that all our goals should be measurable for those of us who are governors, so in following what he said, I made my goals as succinct as possible. I did not change the per capita giving to the foundation. There's no need for me to go up on the minimum goal to achieve. Because when I did my research, I found out that this district exceeds all the expectations that are put down on paper because of their willingness, because of what's in your heart. And why would I want to change an arbitrary number when people are giving from the heart anyway? I look at not just the process, but the end product in June. So, $100 per capita for annual giving to the foundation, $30 per capita polio. 20% of my district designated funds have already gone back to the foundation for polio. What's good about that is that Rotary International said we will match your donation 1-to-1. So automatically it doubled. Bill Gates came along and says, well, okay boys, I'll match it 2-to-1. So with the magical compounding and all the miracles in numbers, District 7670 is credited for $134,000 to the Foundation for Polio. That's from the district side. Now throughout the year we look to the membership to give what they feel they would like to give. I want to say to you how important giving is, but I want to also say there's no requirement to give. This is a voluntary act of you. You look in your heart, you decide what you can or would like to give, and that's the premise from which you should operate. I want to have $20 per capita in CART, Coins for Alzheimer's Research Trust. As you know, this is for Alzheimer's research, for the scientists to try to find a cause for it and then work on a cure. Scientists are funded each year with seed money from CART donations. Coins and dollar bills in there, plus other Rotarians making a donation that requires a check to do, gives us the amount that we need per year. Last year, our district finished with over $91,000 to CART. It was a banner year. Unbelievable at the end of the year what Rotarians did, and I was so moved when I saw it. I want 70 new members this year. Now, think about this. We have 48 clubs, we have 52 weeks in a year. 70 new members is not at all aggressive. That is doable, that is something that we can achieve without any great effort. Excuse me. When appropriate, I want to add satellite clubs and new clubs. I am not interested in setting a record or breaking a barrier. I have nothing to gain by that. There's no contest with me. But if there's an area that we've identified or you've identified, you say, you know, if we had a satellite club, we could have educators because they can't get off for breakfast or lunch. We could have tourism folks. We could have law enforcement and go down the list. Case in point, Boone Sunrise created a new satellite club, which they probably launched this week or next, to give staff of App State a chance to be Rotarians. They're going to meet Thursday evening at 7:30. I heard another guy in Charlotte at Zone last year, they formed their Rotary Club Saturday mornings at 10:30, where they could bring their kids will play. When they get done, they're out the door and off to do family stuff. The position for developing new clubs is what we call club extension. And I've decided that I'm going to add that position this year because it's too much for our membership chair to try to do. He's in Franklin. Let's say hypothetically somebody wants to start a new club in Rutherford County. He's going to be running up the highway. That's not practical for volunteer work. All Clubs District Conference. I put the word all clubs because I want to stress that this is for you. This is for every club in the district. To celebrate your efforts, to celebrate your accomplishments, to recognize each of you for what you do in Rotary. Each person does different things. Together, we are tenacious, and I want to recognize all those efforts in April in Kingsport, Tennessee. The International Convention is in Toronto. I've never been to Toronto. I've heard only good things about it. I'm impressed. I found out when I went to San Diego to International Assembly for the final culmination of my training, each district governor has to forecast how many people from the district will attend the district or the International Convention. Kind of took me by surprise, and I said, well, what do we do on average? What's our history been? They said, well, you do 43. I said, sounds good to me, 43 it is. Rotary making a difference is Ian Risley's theme, and he says that we can do more together than we can alone. I've heard that phrase said another way, 2 horses pull more than twice the weight of one. But this year, I want to put an emphasis on Rotarian engagement. I want to see us focus on hands-on service in our local community. Because even though the second word in our name is international, we can't go abroad until we take care of the home front first. My definition of the Rotary field of service is the piece of real estate between the tip of your toes and the one you're facing. At any given moment, we can walk out that front door and maybe find something to do that somebody else has a higher quality of life on that day. It could very well be somebody in this room. It could very well be a Rotarian that you know who's just been given the bad news of a medical diagnosis, a financial problem. Maybe there's a divorce on the horizon. Maybe they have a son or a daughter who is in prescription drugs and has become a problem. I could go on, but I think you get my picture. We're not exempt. Rotarians endure the stresses and suffer as much as anybody else. Hardships are not a respecter of persons, so be sensitive. If you see somebody like that, offer a hand of support. I'm going to promote international service as well because, as I said, after we do local, let's do international. International is a broad spectrum. Want to use my designated funds to assist in local and international projects? Excuse me. My focus is on humanitarian projects, humanitarian grants, and new scholarships. But when it comes to the higher level of scholarships, for example, Peace Scholars, that's a graduate level program, usually 2 years. Did you know that when we find an eligible Peace Scholar, Rotary pays 100% of it, we pay nothing? It does not come out of our grant money. And I kind of like the sounds of that, so I asked Ted, how about finding this Peace Scholar this year? Our district grants were set at $1,500. I arrived at that by taking the available DDF funds divided by the number of clubs. Turned out to be $1,500. That was off and running as of May 1st. Funds were given after July 1st. The report of the completed projects are due no later than 15 May next year. They have to be submitted on DACDB. What I would say to you is that if you're involved in a district grant, when you get it done, finish the report, get it off your plate so that you don't have to deal with it. If you encounter a problem, send up the red flag, we'll come to your rescue. But we can't come to your rescue on May 16th, because then you might be in jeopardy of losing your money. So just be cognizant of those dates. Fellowship is a big thing for me. When we come together as Rotarians in every meeting, we have fellowship. But when we join forces and go work with somebody else to do a community project or to bring awareness to our community, that type of fellowship is far-reaching. I want to focus on multi-club service projects and Rotary Rally Days. That is a time where 2, 3, 4 clubs do something to make the community aware of our water projects, of our feeding programs, etc. The more we educate our communities, the better our chances of having participation. I want to encourage partnerships between local businesses and corporations and Rotary clubs. There are a number of businesses in every community that are waiting to participate financially if they know what you do. And who but Rotary is better to go and say, we do this for local people and for the world. Would you be willing to participate and help us out? It's amazing how many times they say, yes, I think we'll sail on that ship. And participation in the district zone and Rotary International training and other events is just a great opportunity for all of us to broaden our horizon. Foundation Giving with Carol King. This is her third and final year. She will cycle off. Someone else will fill that position next year. In order of priority, if we look at how clubs and individuals can give, every Rotarian every year is $25 once a year to the foundation annual fund. And if everybody does it, you become an E-rate club. Sustaining club is when each member gives $100 a year, or if you want to break it up, $885 a month to the foundation. I want to encourage, when possible, 100% Paul Harris clubs. I notice each year there are 3, 4, and 5 clubs that become 100% Paul Harris. They use their points to add to the points of the members as they give, and folks become Paul Harris. When everybody does it, they are that club. Paul Harris Society is simply comprised of Rotarians who give $1,000 each year. They are members of the society by default. Rotary Direct for me is convenient. I like to encourage that when you can, because each month when they pull my donation, I get an email that says, thank you for your donation of X. This is your receipt. And at the end of the year, I get my end of the year statement. Rotary Direct is a 501c3 activity. You do have the ability to claim it on your taxes. Now, I do want to celebrate throughout this year club and individual accomplishments, so don't be shy and blowing your own horn. Let me know, put it in the district newsletter. Let people know what you're about, because you do have a reputation of being one of our great clubs, and might as well carry it forward. Annual fund goal, I had to put something on paper, so I left it at $300,000. I left polio at 66. I want to say that both of those goals were well exceeded last year. I think there's something magical about leaving a person's giving up to them. I don't see mandating or putting pressure on people has never given a positive result, so I'm not about to start it. I encourage people to try something new. Create a regional event, a public focus, something you can do that may not have been done before, or maybe you saw it in the Rotary magazine that Rotarians in Australia did it. Develop it and put it to work. Polio Plus is headed by Ron Mackert. He's last year's president of the Rotary Club of Haywood County. Ron is a great guy. In addition to the top 2 bullet points, he's making speakers available, and he's the speaker himself. If you want a program on polio, let me know or contact Ron. I'll be happy to coordinate that for you if you desire. Maybe you have a passion for polio. You'd like to be a speaker. Come on in. The water's fine. This is the year where we want to annihilate polio. We want to put this puppy to bed. And ending polio remains Rotary's #1 priority, because we are so unbelievably close. Instead of being this close, we're going to be that close. CART, Points for Alzheimer's Research Trust, headed up by past District Governor Dennis Sanders. If you know him, your life is better. If you haven't, you're missing something. Leaving the per capita giving set at $20 is an arbitrary number, because I'm aiming for a district donation of $100,000. That is a 10% increase over last year, not an aggressive figure. I've been looking at how clubs are giving to CART this year, and I am more than encouraged that we're going to reach that goal. We as a district are trying to get permission to adopt one of the research scientists, so that we'll have a face to put with who's receiving all of our donations. You know, what you give, they get. There's not a dime that goes to a salary and administrative cost. It's 100% for them. Last year in May, at the CART Assembly in Columbia, those researchers got over $700,000 from us. They were awarded seed grants. To give you some background on that, for an example, Alan Levy, a physician, got his first seed grant from us. He is with Emory University now. He applied for an NIH grant and was awarded $3.13 million. You see, NIH says, we're not going to give you a grant unless you can prove that it works. And the researchers are going, how can I prove that it works if I don't have a grant to do so? Enter CART, enter our efforts, and we give them the launching pad to take off. Dennis is using CART Angels to share the mission. Now there's 3 or 4 clubs per CART Angel, so you have a resource that's relatively local here in Hickory who can give you a good program on that. It's amazing how things are changing. If you'll indulge me for a second, let me share with you my personal story. Because I know if I asked people to show hands, there would be a family member or somebody you know who's touched with Alzheimer's. 4.5 months ago, my wife came home on a Friday, asked me to sit down, she wanted to tell me something. Her sister had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. This is a woman who's younger than me, of course, most people are these days. But what I want to point out to you is she was an educator. Her degree was a master's in fine arts. She retired as a teacher. She did not eat fatty foods. She had a glass of wine infrequently. She walked for exercise. She kept her weight down. She was like a poster child. Nothing that she did, she never smoked, was ever anti-healthy lifestyle. And yet she has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. 4.5 months ago, I saw her last weekend. And it took my breath away to see how her physical appearance had changed in a short time. What I want to say to you is this ugly disease called Alzheimer's is no respecter of persons. To the point that we all want a long life, but if we live to be 85 plus years, statistics say we have a 1 in 2 chance of having Alzheimer's as a diagnosis. Whatever you can do to help our cause would be greatly appreciated, and I applaud you in advance. Public image, public relations is a committee. I've done a little bit different this year. We used to have a chair. I said, let's have 3 people, competent people with some background in that field. So Billy Black, Tiffany Irvin, and Joan Van Orman are heading up that. Together, they can make a difference. Internally, they're educating members in the district via club newsletters and district newsletters. And on Saturday, there is a public image, public relations seminar in conjunction with the grants management seminar. So if someone from your club is that chair, I would encourage you, if you could go to that, you'll pick up some things to make the effort of public relations and public image better for your club. It is my opinion that that is a precursor to successful membership by letting people know what Rotary, what we are all about. Speaking of membership, there's John Yermak, our chair. And I want to say that membership is our district's #1 priority. If we don't gain, we can't retain. We need to add people because just normal attrition, people go because of job change, because of finances, because of health. It just doesn't matter what the organization is. When you have a volunteer organization, there's ebb and flow all over the place. John wants to make speakers available, and if you want a program on membership, let him know or me know. We'll give that for you. We're not afraid to travel, especially to go be with great Rotarians. And as I said before, we want to promote the concept of satellite clubs and new clubs when appropriate. We don't want to just do it because it sounds good. We want to make sure the need is there. Alumni participation is those folks who have been GSE participants who were not Rotarians, who have been scholars, who have received Rotary funds. And then their life, when their program is over, is off to a successful start. I'd like to see us contact those folks as a district and say, you know, you had a Rotary experience. Would you consider coming and joining us and becoming a Rotarian now that you've been the beneficiary of that particular program? Club support and recognition is the awards that your club is eligible for. District Governor's Distinguished Award, which we affectionately call Pink Pages, is a doable award this year because I was the author of that and I scaled that thing down so that it was streamlined for every club to be able to get that award. And then I saw another way, because last year many clubs missed getting the award by a couple of points, less than 100. So I said, why not create a wild card bonus category? And that is as follows. If you've done the requirements pre-July 1, that you're required to do, and you've taken care of putting your entries on Rotary Club Central, if you add up your points and find that you have missed the mark, but you registered Rotarians in your club for district conference or international assembly, you'll have 10 points per head, up to 150. And those points can be slid over into any of those categories that you may have ended up short. I want to see you get the award. I don't want obstacles in the way. Going to either the conference or the convention is an activity worth reinforcement. The training is done by Jack McCaskill. I think you know him. He's not far from here. It's his second year of a 3-year stint. Jack is continually improving the President-elect's training plan so that in September, the PEs get emails with small bits of information about pets, so that when they go to pre-pets in February, they're not drinking from a fire hose. So that when they go to pets in March, they don't get overwhelmed when they find they only have 2.5 hours in session with the governor to get all this information. It is doable, it is manageable, it's in small bites, and I know we can do it. Technology will be used for our development, and Jack is coordinating that. I want to keep the cost low. That's why Saturdays, grants management seminar and public image is free. Lunch is on us. So if you haven't registered, please do so. You've got to attend grants management to be eligible for a grant. And if you're having somebody go to that, let somebody go to public image and get some additional information. Rotary Leadership Institute, affectionately known as RLI, is being changed. No longer will it be 3 successive days in a classroom where you also have to drive a great distance. Steve Studebaker is organizing that, so maybe we do mini RLI sessions and get you certified as having completed the course. I want to expand our club and district leadership assemblies and all the ways that we give people information on a regular basis. Now, to talk to you about service, Bob referenced some service in the Philippines. I want to share with you this administrative role is so far foreign to me. This is not my element. Service is my element. If you were to say to me, okay, what's your platform going to be? I would have to say servant leadership. Because at the end of the day, all we have is service. All we have is engaging in activity that increases the quality of life for somebody else. When we become Rotarians, it is my belief that we embrace the charge to become citizens of the world, where we put humanity on a level playing field. We put the differences aside, because if you were to do research, you find that we're more alike than our differences depict. We are all humans seeking similar things. So the more we work together, the better our world will be. When we stretch out our hand and embrace another and let them know our commitment to improving the quality of their life, and vice versa, we will be more in tune with each other. So, this little guy right here is named Alan Solomon. Alan and his twin sister have a congenital disorder. They're that tall, and they're 14 years old. When we put Alan in his wheelchair, his mom and dad cried because they no longer had to carry them around any place. That they now had the mobility to move them without the extra effort. Alan was so moved that he asked for the microphone. He sang a rap song in perfect English of his gratitude for what he got on that day. The little girl in the upper left, I'm telling you, you've never seen a more beautiful pair of liquid brown eyes that this young lady had. And I asked her mother if I could pick her up, and I started crying because I knew she would never walk. And she played with my little rotary button, and she looked at me, and her eyes just seemed to move with liquid qualities. In the sun, they glistened. And I thought, man, what a precious little girl. We put her in her wheelchair. When her mother took her home, she went past me, and the little girl went up like that. That was it. I was hooked. Now, the kids in the bottom right, we distributed wheelchairs to a place called Child House in Quezon City, Metro Manila. These kids are indigent children who have been diagnosed with cancer. They reside there because it's a residential treating facility. As you can see, they've lost their hair from the chemo. Also, they lost their strength because of their disease and treatment. We provided them with wheelchairs so that they could have mobility. That picture was taken in August of 2013. My next visit was April 2014. When I went back and I finished the projects, I contacted the president of that club, or she's past president, and asked her if we could have lunch. That was on my last day there, we did. We were talking about the wheelchair distribution we did in Quezon City, and she said, you know, Bill, the children at Child House that you gave the wheelchairs to have all died. 8 short ones. And it tore me up. And I started thinking about it. You know, there was only one thing that could have been done for those kids in their last remaining months. And that was to have mobility, because on their own they could not. I don't know how you define sustainability, but those wheelchairs that went to those kids were turned over to other kids who needed mobility. And with their passing, those wheelchairs went to other kids, and so forth and so on. I see that as sustainable. If you can see the little boy in the picture, he's arching his back. When I put him in a wheelchair, his legs were spindly like this, because that young man has polio. He lived out in the province where poor people live. News doesn't get to them. Health care is not what it is because they don't have the funds. And he will not walk because there's no money to have surgeries. I put my little sign there because I just want you to be aware that polio is still infecting children in third world countries. And that's why we want to finish this goal. This is a picture of a wheelchair distribution that we did 12 hours from Manila last year. The roads were rough, the going was slow. When we gave the wheelchairs, I don't know how well you can see, but there's a woman in a lilac robe, third from the left, a man who is in a blue shirt looking that way, fifth from the left. Those two people waited 8 years for a wheelchair. Poverty keeps them from having what they need. That's our team standing up in the back. This was on that same trip, the very first day, I funded a medical mission. Isaac and Elby are putting this 89-year-old grandmother in her wheelchair. She waited 11 years for her wheelchair. We funded MRI, EKGs, medical and dental hygiene, blood pressure checks, glaucoma checks, because they can't afford to have those niceties that we're accustomed to. These commodes were put here for a reason, because water and clean water and sanitation is the best, one of the best projects that Rotary focuses on. If you look at the kids, there's 3 commodes down at the bottom. The significance of this is a global grant started by the Rotarians in Australia. We were invited to participate on this island called Mindoro Occidental, 2.5 hours from the port. And the tribe is called the Manyang tribe. It is an Aboriginal tribe that dates back to Christ. This is the first time in their history they had running water and flush toilets, gravity fed from the mountain. And you can see the kids are wearing their new clothes that were given them in our distribution. We did a dental hygiene program with them. I was able to address them in their own language, and we had little flip books that they could see it. We gave them toothbrushes and toothpaste. When the thing was over, we stood up to leave, and those kids held on for dear life. No, we don't want you to go. Literacy is a major problem in third world countries. I was contacted by the secretary of a Rotary Club. She was a teacher in the 8th grade in a town called Iligan Bay. She was distraught because school was set to start. They had no textbooks. Because you see, in third world countries, i.e. the Philippines, there are no free education. You pay for it. I funded the literacy project. Those kids had their textbooks Total cost, $357. Shelter boxes, you're all aware of those. Tacloban got hit in 2013 in November with a terrible typhoon, triple storm surge, took the lives of just under 10,000 people. Shelter box, along with our rice distribution that we did, was instrumental in giving them what they needed. That's just a picture of the tent that looks like. We were put on the cover of the Rotary magazine, and a 6-page article was done on our wheelchair distribution efforts, because they know they're not funded by Rotary anymore, and that we made it possible for all their people to have mobility. And my friend Lizelle put this photo in the upper left-hand corner where we went to certify a little girl for a wheelchair. She was indigent, she did need mobility. Her statement was, join for our community, but stay for the world. That's the site of our All Clubs District Conference in Kingsport. If you like to play golf, just walk out the door, the golf course is right there. Should you ever be prone, maybe have a glass of wine or something like that, there's a winery right there at the hotel. If you've ever wondered what it would be like to sample moonshine, well, Tiny is going to come with his moonshine, and Friday afternoon, along with the band that we're going to have an outdoor cookout. I don't want to tell you anymore. I just want to let you know that we're setting this up so that you'll feel appreciated. There's going to be Rotary business discussed, of course, but there's going to be a big emphasis on you all because you're Rotarians. As I said, District Conference, Toronto, June 24th through 27th next year. Get to Toronto pronto. I'd like to leave you with 2 thoughts. As much as we try, there's no way to get away from the fact that what we do, who we serve, requires funds. There's a man named Jim Elliott. He lost his life serving the Auca Indians in Peru. He and his 2 partners were speared to death at the beachfront one morning. And Jim Elliott made a statement that burned in my mind. It said, he or she is no fool who gives up what they cannot keep to gain what they cannot lose. That's a powerful statement, because when you give time, effort, resources, money, you have such an impact on somebody else, but you are blessed, your life is enhanced, and the more you do it, the more that cycle goes, and I think that's great. The final statement is this. One day, each of us will be called upon to be the guest of honor at our own funeral. And on that day, what will your legacy be? Thank you very much for your attention.
District Governor Biddle?
Go the other way.
Let me see if I can. Our club has a token of appreciation we'd like to share with you.
Thank you.
And just to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
So very much. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, sir.
I really mean that. I read some information about you. I appreciate what you feel like. I know where some of you folks come from.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you much.
Hey, get the picture now.
Give the man the brother face.
To see you going on.
Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, keep serving.
Bill, the artifact in your left hand is made by Wayne.
Okay, sweet. I need to look.
Okay, we are about 3 minutes out before we have to leave. I do believe, I think it's
2 minutes.
2 minutes in. Bob wanted a 30-second blurb. Let's have it. Didn't you?
I'm overwhelmed. I would like to see us consider doing wheelchairs again, 2 or 3, whatever we can. I don't know what we've done in the past. That predates me. But you guys who have been in wheelchair contributions before, let's discuss it as a club and see what we can do to. We were not benefit to one of Bill's other stories, and that was that when he was at Hickory Club, right?
Oh, yes.
And he lit a fire, and the afterglow was such that it may turn into a regional pledge. One of the attendees there, lady, has made the walk to St. James, the Via de Compostela. And she has now decided she is going to make the walk to Rome for Saint, it's not Saint Michael, who's the Saint?
James?
James, no, she's done
No?
James.
Oh,
She's done Philip. And she said, I'm gonna get quarter a kilometer. And somebody else says, I'll match that.
The mayor.
Oh, that's right, the mayor of our city said he'd match it. And a bunch of other folks stood up and said they could too. And all of a sudden, it looks like it's gonna be a big number. And we may be approached by the area clubs to see if anybody wants to
Our
match.
target, incidentally, is the foundation.
Yeah, foundation giving, and her intended path is 350 kilometers. Unbelievable distance. With that said, the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right. Well done, sir.
That's just like you.
Everybody.
There's my first client. You looking
Everybody.
We gotta get her